Last week we had all kinds of issues. So
last week was interesting.
It wouldn't have anything to do with everything.
And I think we are live right now. Check it out.
Resetting, yeah.
No.
Awesome. It actually worked this time.
All right.
Yes, there it is.
We're live.
It's amazing.
Live now.
All right, so
And then I'll just freeze it.
producer Zeb is working on what, 30 minutes of sleep. So if he falls asleep, somebody just wake him up, okay?
Just nudge me.
I'll just give it
A virtual nudge.
We do have a waiting room on the chat this week so that we can not have the trolls that we had last week.
That was...
we won't have to worry about that.
What's
Sure,
that poor
somebody
kid
that
going to
we
do
actually
today?
know.
Hey, that poor kid's probably out disturbing someone on the streets now.
And there's Toss.
Hi, Carmen.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
And that would be Charlie Brown at the bottom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where
Who's
is he?
Charlie Brown? Besides the Peanuts character.
Looks like we're looking at somebody's curtains or mattress, one of the two.
He's getting there. He's getting his camera. There he is.
Where?
Hey.
It's fuzzy.
There's Charlie Brown.
Let me set up my camera.
Oh my gosh.
Charlie Brown.
Right?
I look forward to these. These are fun.
Oh, yeah.
So what are we discussing today?
So,
What's
well,
something
first
new?
we have to discuss the fact that Ryan had some serious issues last week. He was giving me all kinds of excuses why he wasn't here
Yeah.
for last week's show. And he deserved every bit of stuff he took from us last week. But he said that he had, like, I don't know, he installed, like, I forget how many, 6 different distros in a matter of a couple hours trying to get everything to work. And he was in the middle of install. Yeah, exactly, Matt.
Excuses.
That's what I was saying. So now we didn't record Destination Linux on Friday because he had a business trip Thursday and Friday. And then because of the snowstorm on the East Coast here, he got
Snowstorm.
What snowstorm? Yeah.
we got snow.
Really?
We didn't get snow up here.
Yeah, we got snow.
We
And
got
they
a
got
little bit last night.
and so anyway, he got stranded. Some of his flights got canceled. So he got stranded in the airport today when we were supposed to record Destination Linux. And he finally got home tonight and had no power. So he didn't have no internet connection. So
That sounds like a lot of excuses to me.
it does.
No, wait a minute. He couldn't have got on broadcast you from the airport.
Hi, Alan.
Well, you could have asked me, but no.
You couldn't make up all of these excuses and make them sound good. Only he could do that. So anyway, we were going to have talk to Rob on the show again, like as far as like an anniversary type show. And so anyway, Rob did the show with me, and Ryan wasn't there, so it was just me and Rob doing the show.
Oh, no.
But it worked out. So I don't think the reason I bring it up is because I don't think Ryan's going to be here tonight because he still doesn't have any power.
Oh, that means I can't get the excess.
So he'll have no power until Anagos has gone out of our brain, is it? Or
That's exactly it.
That's pretty much it, Colin. He's not going to have any power until at least a few weeks.
So yeah, a few weeks is about when we forget things, isn't it?
Ghost of Antigos.
And we won't forget.
The ghost of Anagos.
I think he's hoping that we'll forget. No, I feel bad though, really, because Interrogos is actually really good. I mean, it really is really good, and I know that a lot of you guys had problems, including myself. But part of my problem was I had the same problem with every installer, and I should have known better. But the problems that you guys had, I think, were across the board. And I think the new ISO that came out
I've
fixed
tried
some
it
of
already.
some of those issues.
Mm-hmm.
It installed flawlessly, to be honest. it installed flawlessly on the same computer. But I tried it again. I started it up again. I couldn't type anything. So I don't know what was going on there. I couldn't type my network
Antergos
password.
is really good. It really is. And if you like Arch-based distros, it's one to try. Let's put it this way: if you ask me which is the best Arch-based distro, that would be at least 2, if not 1. First one. So.
Don't let Eric hear you say that.
I'm sorry. What?
Don't let Eric hear you say that.
Yeah. Well, no. I said it's up there. And the only reason that maybe Eric's is not there is because it's not GNOME or KDE.
I think your biggest problem installing distros, Rocco, is you've got 28 distros installed on like 13 hard drives, and
well, that could possibly be part of the issue. I would think
you need like an 8 gigabyte EFI partition at that point.
Well, you know what though, I did screw up my my UEFI something or other. And I'm just getting used to this whole, like, my motherboard before, didn't have to worry about any of that, but this one now has to worry about secure boot and all that stuff. And I had so many issues when I tried to, like the last time I did an install, I did this Unity one, and it was working fine. And then I did another install after that on a different drive, and it completely messed up to the point where I don't even see I can't switch my BIOS. In my BIOS, I can't switch to the Unity hard drive.
Yeah, so I've had that problem when installing like Fedora, and then installing some other stuff, and then installing another Fedora thing. It completely like deletes it almost.
Yes.
So if you just go into that drive into the EFI part, like there's like I think it's /boot/EFI, and then there's like a folder in there for each distro. And if you just delete the old one, it should like go back to the right one. So the issue is typically that it's pointing to the one that doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, it doesn't exist apparently, according to my thing. So.
That's good info there, Alan, I must say.
Yeah, no, I gotta actually go in there and find that, because that is good info.
You probably have like a super long list too.
All right, where is this at?
It should be in /boot/EFI.
Let's see.
And then possibly another /EFI after that as well.
Yeah, there's typically a folder nested in there.
All right,
/ a bottle of aspirin.
Well, that's what you need after it happens, because it's
a headache.
It's a big headache. And so what I had to do was I actually had to boot off of another install, my Ubuntu hard drive, and use the grub to get to the Unity install.
It sounds like you need a NAS to serve all the ISO images.
I'm telling you. I should just stop and not do it anymore, but that's no fun.
And that's what I've done.
There it goes.
I've stopped topping. I've given up. Too much.
Have you?
I had some good success in the last couple of days with a new BIOS for my Chromebook. So it's got a firmware that's made by the community to replace CBIOS that gives all the Chromebooks a standard EFI BIOS, so I can install any Linux distribution on my laptop now without it stuffing up.
That is awesome.
Nice.
And it's from a guy called Mr. Chromebox. That's his website. And he lists all the different Chromebooks and the lists the instructions in the terminal. So you just type it all in and it freaking works. So I've been different distros on my Chromebook now. I installed Mint the other day. I've got Ubuntu Mate on there now. Both seem to work really well with the wireless and Bluetooth. None at the moment work with Bay Trail audio.
Yeah, that's a big issue right now.
Yeah, apparently it was in 3-point-something kernel, and now it's taken out. The only solution I've seen is one guy in Australia actually respins Ubuntu Mate with the Bay Tray audio integrated into his own respin ISO. So yeah, but I did come across this cool little Raspberry Pi knockoff for Linux that's called the Libra Computer Regenerate, and it's going for $35 American with USB 3 and gigabit on board. So I was actually thinking of making another like PC up with this device because it runs Linux out of the box, so that can replace my laptop from like just HTTP basic like surfing and stuff.
Nice.
That'd be great.
Well, you said about audio. The one chink in Ubuntu 16.04 LTS is two things. One is the audio. It's probably having the same amount of issues with my audio outputs that KDE has. Like it just won't pick them up right. It outputs them wrong. I had to install Pulse Audio Volume Control just to change some of them to the right way they're supposed to be. It's not exactly working properly.
I'm surprised no one's made a open source driver for the Bay Trail audio because it's used in a lot of NUCs, the Intel Compute Stick, and heaps of laptops. So
Intel might have something for it in their Clear Linux stuff.
Well, I remember when I was in Japan, I managed to download a file from the Japan FTP for Intel. And then I was actually at an Airbnb, and one of the guys was into Linux too, and he showed me how to compile it into the kernel. But since then, I've installed Gallium OS, which does it all for you. But most of the off-the-shelf distros just don't have audio support for Bay Trail.
What is that Gallium OS?
It's a dedicated Linux spin from Xubuntu, designed for Chromebooks with all the drivers integrated.
Ah,
that's pretty awesome.
Isn't it a fork of Chromium OS?
No. It's standard Linux. Just like they've got Ubuntu with XFCE, ported it to Chromebooks for the hardware support, and all the drivers are in there for you.
Nice. What was the name?
And there's Michael.
Gallium OS.
Gallium OS.
Yeah. But yeah, even if you were to use Gallium OS, still recommend this like Mr. Chrome box firmware because much better than the stock firmware and much better than CBIOS, which a lot of the Chromebook mod guides recommend.
Is that a fork of Valium OS? No, just kidding.
Well, Bradley says that he runs it on his Chromebook, so I guess it's pretty good.
I recently kind of did the opposite. I installed all the fun lockdown Chromebook stuff onto my laptop that isn't a Chromebook, and then very quickly undid all of it because it was fun but not worth it.
Yeah, well, Chrome OS reminds me of like Pop OS and Elementary, which just drive me nuts. Like I like my start menu, I like my desktop icons. I don't want a touch tablet experience. I want a computer experience. So yeah.
So don't use GNOME 3?
No. GNOME 3 just screams to me that it's designed for a touch tablet style generation.
I like GNOME though.
GNOME.
That's all right. You're allowed bad taste.
I like all. No, I don't like all operating systems, but I do like GNOME.
I don't mind the GNOME desktop environment, to be honest, because once you get used to it, just hitting that Windows super key, you sometimes you just get used to it. And
that's the one thing that got me.
Yeah.
Every time I move away from GNOME, I'm always like slamming my cursor into the top left, and nothing happens. And I keep slamming it like a bird flying into a window, and nothing happens.
And nothing happens.
Plasma has the top left hot corner by default, by the way.
Really?
And the search is super fast. It just finds everything so quick.
It does. Plus it's
everything's so quick as long as it is an application and nothing else.
No, search is more than just applications. Everything.
No, but that's not quick. That part is not quick.
Yes, it is.
No.
I guess quick is relative, huh?
Yeah, I suppose.
Not find files or take forever to find them, or sometimes it would find like 2 of the 17 I wanted to find or whatever.
Did you run it for more than like 5 minutes, Michael? Because once it gets to know the system, then it's really fast.
Yeah. Everything I test is minimum a week. I don't distro hop.
I'm with Michael on this one. So I tried to run. I updated Ubuntu to the latest. It's a full install. It's just counterintuitive, you know, without the extent. Now, here's the thing about the latest Ubuntu. It's so ironic because the one nice thing about Linux, you want to make it your own, right? You want to customize it more than you can with Windows 10. Fabulous. The problem with the latest Ubuntu, with the extensions, half of them don't work, so you can't make it your own. So it's counterintuitive. That's why I don't use it.
Yeah,
Maybe the problem is GNOME not XFCE.
No, I like GNOME's workflow.
I think the problem is if you're been around Linux for a long time, then you have that perspective. But if you have a look at it from a new user perspective, Ubuntu don't want people playing around with it. They just want people to use it. So the less things that they have to mess around with, then it just works. So
yeah, and everybody loved that about Unity. It was the greatest thing that everybody was like, yes, we love it.
It's the end of the world.
No one hated it at all.
I liked Unity. It just worked. It just worked.
I'm running Unity right now. I mean,
yeah, now it worked. Now when it's dead, people love
now
it.
That it's hey,
I used
it's in a coma.
It's not because it's dead that I'm running it. It's because I just recently, in the last since it died, gave it an opportunity to use it. Because I have the same idea where, you know, like, hey, I want it to be, okay. We just talked about this on the latest.
As the base.
Well, we just talked about this on the latest Destination Linux. That
shameless plug.
Yes, it's a shameless plug. When you're a Windows user and you come over to Linux, you want to make Linux look like Windows because that's what you're familiar with. But if you give desktop environments, distros, whatever, software even, if you give it the opportunity to allow it to run it and have an open mind about it, you find out a lot of times that you end up liking some of the things about it. Now, sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you hate it and you can't handle it and you just move on to something else. But like with GNOME, I didn't think I was going to like GNOME. But after using it, and you can't go into GNOME expecting it to be something else. You can't go into GNOME saying, oh, I want to change this, I want to do this, I want to change this. You have to go into GNOME with an open mind and use it and see it for its good points. And then when you do that, it's really not bad at all. It actually turns into being really, really good.
I do not have a problem with GNOME in general. I just don't like that their overview search is not as good as some people want to claim it is. And my point was that that's the only thing that I have. Also the application, you can't make it go away until you escape twice. That's annoying. But overall,
that is annoying. But you're going to have that. You're going to have one annoying feature, two annoying features with any distribution.
I wasn't bashing GNOME at all. And in fact, I use GNOME's workflow because I did exactly what you said. I used GNOME for, I don't know, like 2 years or so before I switched away from it. And I took the workflow with me. So like there are certain aspects I've used, basically every DE I've used for at least a year.
Yep. So sometimes you just got to give things a chance to grow on you rather than just change them automatically to what you're used to.
Yeah, but who wants a wart on the end of their nose? No thanks.
Who wants a what?
A wart. It's got to grow on you.
You know, it's kind of like
ouch, ouch.
It's kind of like you say you should look at your life. You should concentrate, be happy with the things that you have, and not
Wart OS.
worry about the things you don't have. It's kind of the same principle when you think about it.
My perspective's changed with the Ubuntu GNOME because I find it annoying that they have a lot of features out of it too. Don't get me wrong, I think it's annoying from my perspective, but I did make a video on Ubuntu 17.10, and most of my videos are lucky to get 50, 30 views or whatever. This one's
that's tuxdigital.com /
PCTLC.
There you go.
So it's got almost 4,000 views. So it just goes to show what operating systems people want. And it must be Ubuntu.
So each his own. Each one.
Ubuntu is very like if you
thing that I really hated about the new Ubuntu and the whole GNOME thing is that the little app indicator sys tray thing they put on the top. Why do I have a remote in my hand? Let me get sorry. That
You need that to run GNOME to make it work properly. You know, stop it.
I cheated. That was a phone, but whatever.
Everybody got one.
Yeah, I don't have. Well, I got my phone.
It's on the other side of the room.
I don't
but it just doesn't work. Like Telegram will show up sometimes, most of the time, but then things like Discord won't.
But that's an issue they don't have a choice in. Like
I know, but like I would just rather not have it at all than to have it broken. And
I think the next version probably will be better, if I had to guess. You know, this is new.
Because they have to rebuild that part.
It's a complete shift from Unity to this. But I will tell you this: it's kind of funny. Well, not funny, but tomorrow I will announce the best Linux distro for 2017, based on some of my followers. It's not Ubuntu, but it's not Ubuntu Mate either.
Linux Mint.
I'm not going to give it away. No.
Hannah Montana Linux.
Give it away. Give it away.
I was hoping for Tony Montana Linux, but it did not work, man.
No, but I don't know.
Made that. That's kind of disappointing.
I think, like Colin, you had a good point. Toss, you had a good point. When you come to Linux, you come to customize, or when you see that you can customize, you want to customize it. But I think that, and GNOME Ubuntu is not perfect. That's one of the reasons why I'm not on it. 1710 is because of what you said, Alan, is the system tray being broken. May not even be their fault, but it's still broken right now, and I'd rather have one that works.
Wait till next year. It'll probably get better. You know.
I was actually okay with the regular system tray, like on the bottom left. Like I was okay with that. I was probably
okay with that.
3 people that was.
I think you were. Only 3 people were okay with that.
I mean, it's also not Ubuntu's decision either. So.
Yeah, that was GNOME, and like I liked it only because I would get the notification that I had stuff visible, but it was just there and accessible. I don't need it visible all the time. I just need to have it there, and the little notifications drop down on the top is kind of.
They should just do what Plasma does and has a little drop-down arrow that you just open and show all the tray.
I would love that.
The best thing about Plasma, or not the best thing about Plasma, but one of the best things about the system tray in Plasma is the fact that you can manually hide whatever entry you don't want to have.
You know what that sounds like,
You can put everything in there, whatever you want.
You know what else does that?
Windows?
Windows 10, that's right.
No. But no other Linux allows you to do that. Now Cinnamon has an applet that is called, I think, the applet drawer or something like that. And everything you put, you add it to your panel, and everything you put on the left side is visible, everything you put on the right side is hidden. But I've noticed it's really buggy as far as not working properly all the time. So really, KDE is really the only one that allows you and works really well at it to hide and make visible.
Yeah.
I don't use Cinnamon.
It's the first thing I take off on Ferrin OS. I hate that app drawer. It really bugs me.
Talking about UI and stuff, did you guys see that Classic Shell is now open source? The guy that was mainly developing it has moved it over from freeware to open source.
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, there was just announced the other day on Facebook, and so Classic Shell is now on SourceForge, and almost everyone I come across with Windows these days hates not having a start menu and hates not having a proper file manager in the GUI. And I put them onto Classic Shell, and they love it. They're like, "Why isn't this built into Windows?" And I think that comes into the people I saw that when Ubuntu went to Unity, a lot of people ditched Ubuntu and went to Mint because it had a proper GUI. A lot of people just don't like this Unity GNOME 3 style touchscreen GUI. A lot of people are still wanting a traditional menu desktop icon experience.
Not what Ubuntu had prior to that anyway. People were moving because of spite. Not because they necessarily disliked Unity.
No, disagree. From the feedback I got, it was different.
Like Windows, it never did.
That's the main reason Ryan's not here, though, because he just can't work out how to use Unity. He's challenged from the Telegram group.
He probably got lost in the menus, trying to click through them.
Isn't it like 3 to 4 clicks just to get to a full application menu too?
5.
Is it 5? Okay.
Well, that's a lot of
This
people
Unity.
when they come from Windows to Linux. If they can't step through something and get to their program, they're going to swap back. They're like, we don't have the time in business to learn our new GUI. They just want to click on the menu, go program.
I think that's a bunch of BS though. I honestly do, because how many people have switched to Macs, which is a completely different UI paradigm for going from Windows.
But if you look at the amount of people on Mac, it is so tiny. It is like such a niche area.
It's not about that though.
It's like 20% user market share.
They got more than we do.
That's a huge
comparison. And to be honest, most of the Mac population I see is on laptops. They don't have a proper computer.
It don't matter. Your argument was that they're expecting to have the same interface, and that's what pulled them away because of Unity. But the same thing also happened to GNOME, and people were mad at Unity not for the reason of it's a different interface, because GNOME was a different interface since forever. Like the entire existence of Ubuntu never tried to compete with the paradigm of Windows.
No.
How is a laptop not a proper computer?
A proper computer is relative in the current modern computing age. I'm sorry.
Most of the Mac computers.
This is a computer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what form factor it takes.
Most of the time when I see a Mac, it's the 27-inch all-in-one computer, or it's overpriced laptop. Like,
and again, it's relative.
All of Macs
Here's
are
my proper
overpriced.
Well, that's true. But yeah, their laptops are massively overpriced.
I think the proper computer is the one that works for you properly.
Well, I classify a proper computer as a desktop tower.
So having a laptop is not a proper computer? Isn't that a little, sorry, but my laptop's a proper computer.
That's a
I think it's kind of like a relative term. So it's just a connotation of it. Like, I don't think he means it's not a proper computer, but I think by proper computer, he just meant desktop form factor.
It has to be a ThinkPad to be proper. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
That's all I use.
That's like when you say Ubuntu proper. That doesn't mean that the other flavors aren't proper. It's just the way the word is used. Yeah.
I guess it's like fully fledged and actually powerful.
Again, relative to
relatively.
It's relative to need. Every user
the amount of Macs that are personally used at businesses and campuses, and like literally they are so gimped. Like, I remember taking a USB stick to one of the campuses. I copied some WAV files that someone recorded. It took me 45 minutes. Copied it onto my Chromebook, and then copied those same files back from the SSD to the stick. 4 minutes.
Well, that's because HFS is awful.
Yeah,
always been awful.
But no, it gets better. It was actually booted into Windows at the time.
Oh.
So it wasn't
because that computer is underpowered, and that's because all Macs are underpowered.
But apparently, it was a 27-inch quad-core i5. Yet the Chromebook, which is like an N2840 Celery type thing, outdoes it.
Well, the thing is, I have a 15-inch MacBook Pro Retina, and I do not have those long, it runs perfectly. I'm not using it right now, but it runs perfectly. And it doesn't take me 4 or 5 minutes to copy a file. So I don't know where you're getting that from.
Again, it's all relative to your experience.
iMacs are not that.
Yeah, I mean,
they're MacBooks. You could compare a MacBook and an old Mac Pro as being good computers. The iMacs were purposefully like compromised so they could fit in that form factor. So like it's the same thing with the new Mac Pro trash can. They compromise.
I've still yet to see someone in Australia have one of those.
They shouldn't.
They haven't updated it in like 3-4 years anyway.
They're going to. They announced that they're going to, and they also apologized for how terrible it was.
Right.
Yeah, that was bad.
Which is rare for Apple to do, but they genuinely did it.
I thought the concept was cool, but the execution was garbage. Pun intended.
I don't think it. Oh, yeah, exactly. I don't think a trash can concept is good anyway. I like how they were like, it's so sleek and beautiful. It's like it looks like a trash can.
Preacher, you're back.
It does. It does.
Well, getting back to Linux.
Yes.
Is that why we're here?
That's why we're here. Is that Peppermint 8 respin?
What?
Yeah, let's not get Michael started on a respin.
I didn't say nothing.
You did.
Why is it called a respin? It should be 8.1.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the new Peppermint, man.
Like respin.
Yeah, the new Peppermint is just Peppermint 8 with a lot of tweaks. So, I mean, they've always called it a respin right from day one. So whether that's the right word to use or not, that's the Peppermint way.
Yeah, but a lot of people use Windows for a lot of time since their first day on using computers, and they're if you just keep using Windows forever.
Yeah, they're going to use what they know, and they'll complain about it, but they'll still use it because they're afraid to use it. They don't even know that there's other stuff.
But that's how change happens. You see something, you decide to change it, and then you change it. Just because you previously were using something else doesn't mean you can't change it. So, like,
no, I know. I'm not disagreeing with you.
We look forward to everyone calling a respin what it really is, a respin of the original.
Yeah, which is like Fedora LXQt or something like that. Which is what
exactly. I said the same thing.
Well, honestly, when I saw respin, the first thing I thought of, what did somebody do? Create another distro?
Yeah.
Not really thinking it was another advanced version, like you said today, Michael, about 8.1 or something like that, or just a rebuild or whatever you want to call it. It's not a huge deal, but it is.
It's not.
It was a little bit confusing at first because I thought somebody made their own flavor of it.
I didn't want to point anything out. I didn't say anything this particular stream. That was Zeb. So
I think this all boils down
to... I've got a little present for you. You probably can't read that, Michael.
What's that say?
It says Peppermint Tux OS.
There you go.
Nice.
And when you watch, it may be in Michael's show or not, I don't know, but he did a good review on Peppermint, a little snippet, and he just pinpointed the major changes that they've made. And basically that's putting everybody on the HWE kernel, introducing a new Nemo that's now bereft of any sort of cinnamon leftovers. And it's just some little tweaks that we were thinking of putting out as just updates, but they do a respin every 6 months. So it's come out, it's taken off well, it's received a lot of praise. But one of the things that always confuses me when someone brings out a new version, everybody wants to know, how do I upgrade? How can I get this? How can I get that? So our biggest answer, first of all, is if you've got 7 and you like it, upgrade to 8.
That's it.
If you've got 8 and it works, don't upgrade to the 8 respin. Stick on what you've got.
But if that were truly the case, why make an 8 at all? Like, there's updates because they're available. Like, why not upgrade? Well, I mean, it's the same system, just a newer version of it. So you get.
But there was a fairly big difference between 7 and 8, in as much as that's when we bought, or when they brought out the Whisker menu and the XFCE panel.
Yeah.
And it's all of those sort of things that make upgrading quite difficult.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not a programmer, so I don't understand the complexities. But if it was able to be done, then PC NetSpec Mark Greaves would have done it.
Yeah, it seems to me for Linux developers, respins, forks, upgrades, it's like breathing. They have to do it. Because if they stop, it's like stop breathing. Then they choke. That's
it's not really a respin. That's the reason why it's a weird term to use, because it's just a rebuild of an ISO, and it's making modifications. So it's like it's the same thing newer.
With additions, so it's been annued. It's been respun.
New and improved.
Well, see, that's the thing. This all comes back down to Linux people sucking with words and like the power.
Whatever do you mean?
Why don't they just call it upgrade or release?
But if you words and such and words things, what?
I think that's most people today, including myself.
Don't beat around the bush, mate. Just tell it out. Really is, eh?
So we'll just suggest to the Peppermint guys, Zeb, hey, switch it to like 8.1 or something. Be Windows for crying out loud.
Or as English Bob is calling it, 8.5 on all of his videos that he's putting out.
8.5.
I put it in the show, but I did edit out some of it because I didn't want it to be like. It's just like.
I hope you left the basic review in there because that was good. That nailed everything.
No, all of that part's in there. Yeah. The actual content's in there for sure.
Yeah. And we have
a lot of cool stuff like and I also left in the part where I mentioned the theme name because it's fantastic. the papyrus work of papyrus is like this.
Papyrus. Yeah. That was great.
Nice. Papyrus concept.
And it was actually funny because for me it was funny because I didn't realize it until after like the third time I read it. I was like, wait, that's an E. Papyrus.
Papyrus. Yeah.
I was trying the Numix color changer and I said, this thing's broken, it doesn't work. And then I realized you've got to be actually on the Numix icon set for it to actually.
I have done the same thing, Colin. I've done the same thing in the past. Oh my gosh.
But one of the handiest little tools that I think people will miss as well is we're all talking about customizations. How many times have you done things to your XFCE panel and then gone, oops, it's all gone. I've lost it all. You can now right-click on the desktop and you'll get a context menu that talks about launch the Peppermint settings panel. So you can then get back to rebuild the Peppermint XFCE panel.
I did that very thing on Peppermint. I did that very thing. Lost the panel.
Did I mention that in the show? I don't think so. Actually. I meant to.
Again, Michael?
Maybe they need to integrate into the GUIs that before you make changes, you back up your previous customization settings.
Yeah, but to making it easier is much better because it's like whatever DE makes like an export config that you can store in a single location is much better than trying to find what .config folder you need to save in order to get that particular thing.
Yeah, but even backing it up wouldn't help because once you lose the panel, you have no way of getting anywhere.
And that was the reason why we put it in the context menu, because people would come on the forums and say, oh, how can I fix it? We'd say, well, go to the Peppermint panel, and then you can just click the button. And they'd be like, how do I get to the Peppermint panel?
Exactly.
If you get rid of all your panels, doesn't XFCE scream at you to add another panel? You'd
have to go to the terminal, I believe, and fix it that way, right? If I'm not mistaken. I think it's happened to me once before.
Yes, but what I'm saying is most new users or people who aren't familiar with it they're not gonna.
No, it's not for new. No.
See, whenever I delete all my panels.
Yeah.
What happened then?
It's where two people are trying to say something, and they're both polite and not me, and they don't continue.
Yeah, and they're not you exactly.
But ever since we had, was it Brad Davis, the guy from XFCE on?
Yep.
I now
Sean Davis.
Sorry?
Sean Davis.
Sean Davis, my bad.
Only part I remember is Davis.
I now do my panels like he suggested to get the clock in the middle. So you have 3 panels at the top. So 2 at 45, 1 at 10 in the middle. So the clock's in the middle now permanently and it can't get mucked up by anything else.
Yep, I do the same thing on my XFCE one. Yeah. I would be running XFCE right now because I so wanted to run XFCE, except for it has serious issues with dual panels or dual monitors. It has.
I just had serious issues to begin with, but that was just me.
No, it really isn't as bad as I always make fun of it and everything, but it really isn't that bad, and it really is pretty good. It's just that it really has some bad issues for me on dual monitors.
What, having stuff appear on a monitor you want it to?
Appearing on the wrong monitor. I can't get, if I launch Rocket League, I cannot get it to go on my main screen.
You know what the solution is, Rocco?
Switch to another distro.
No, it's Peppermint.
Because like it would launch on my other screen, and then I would go in. I tried going into windowed mode, dragging it over, going back to full screen, and it would immediately pop back over to the other monitor again. It was like nothing I did that normally works when those problems happen. Nothing I did worked. So
honestly, I think the best distro and desktop environment to handle multi-monitor is probably Unity, even though it's a dead DE.
It really is great.
If you ever tested it, I've tested it up to 3. Do what?
Are you talking about KDE?
No, Unity.
Oh, Unity. You always just talk about KDE, so I just figured that was,
no,
I didn't know the first part.
User E.
Different anyway.
Had Peppermint running with 4 monitors. It was no problem at all.
Yeah, Plasma is good in certain situations. Multi-monitor, once you have it set up, it's fantastic. To get it set up sometimes is a pain in the butt.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. But
notice the hesitation of the response back.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes it's a pain, but most of the time it's fantastic once it is set up. Unity is just pretty much flawless using it and setting it up. It's just, you just say, I have multi-monitors, and it goes, okay, cool. And then you just use it. And for name drop, Noah Chalaya used to use Unity with 6 monitors, and he said it was perfectly fine. And you just plugged it in, and it just started working. Like,
6 monitors.
Yeah, he said it detected all of them immediately.
That's like the bridge of the Enterprise or something, man.
How could you use 6 monitors?
How big was his desk?
Massive.
Or were they going up that way?
He has a custom desk, and he had 3 monitors and 3 monitors.
Okay.
Wow.
I just have my laptop and 1 extra monitor.
By the way, there's like 5 monitors in front of me at the moment.
5?
I have enough problems keeping track of.
Okay.
2.
Seriously, Charlie, why do you need 5 monitors?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got 2 here. Then I've got 2 monitors for testing systems, and 1.
Oh, they're not all attached to the same machine.
No. But it's like
okay.
one line.
Well, I used to run 3 on a basis, but now since I got the widescreen, I don't need 3. I run 2.
Well, you're right though, because Unity is pretty much flawless in that area. So
have you guys that use multiple monitors use GTX cards or AMD cards?
GTX.
NVIDIA.
Fun story about that. So I built a new PC with an AMD graphics card in it, and
why would you do that?
It actually has been.
He's a masochist and wants to suffer.
It's actually been like completely flawless, which is weird. There's only been 1 issue. Yeah, there's only been 1 issue, and that was just like a kernel upgrade because I was using like a slightly out-of-date kernel for AMD GPU. But like,
what's the GPU specifically?
RX 580.
Nice.
Yeah, the RX cards actually have better support than the 300 series and the 400.
Yeah.
I've had no end of issues with the 380 on 12 different Linux distros. Some will work on my primary screen, some will work on the second screen, some will work with both. Yeah, it's like very mixed match.
Interesting predicament. So, I mean, it's got 3 DisplayPort out and 1 HDMI, which is fine. But, like, I have another GPU that I kind of want to utilize. And there's only 1 issue in that it's an NVIDIA GPU. And so I want to use an AMD GPU and an NVIDIA GPU together, but, like, have the NVIDIA GPU, because it's less powerful, just work on, like, some acceleration stuff in the background, whereas, like, the 580 works on all the other stuff. And
you can do that with async in Vulkan if the program knows how to do it, which
unfortunately
it's like maybe 2 programs.
Exactly. Like, literally
the only game that I've heard it works is Doom.
So we're down to 1 program.
We're down to
2.
Well, I haven't tried it, but F1 2017 might work because it's solely Vulkan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'll have to give that a go.
Maybe Talus Principle too, because they've got good Vulkan support on it.
I need to play that game. It looks pretty good.
It's
it looks good, but I didn't pick it up because it didn't have co-op. So I was like, well, when you add co-op, I'll buy it.
Well, isn't Talos Principle the portal indie portal thing? Like,
no, not really. It's sort of like a storyline explorer sort of thing. People say it's like Portal, but it just doesn't seem like it at all.
I mean, like a first-person puzzle platformer kind of thing. That's what I meant by that.
No, I don't think it's a puzzle thing. I think it's like just explore a mystical world sort of thing.
That'd be cool.
There's one game that actually looks really good, and I've asked them if they will consider using OpenGL and Linux, and that's Iron Harvest. So it's a mix of the old company heroes, you've got mechs, and it's steampunk. So it looks really good. It's not on Steam yet. They're still working on it. I actually submitted a suggestion for the UI change, and they've said they've accepted it and they're looking into it. So hopefully they'll fix that up, because they had like a thing on Facebook saying suggest a new GUI layout, and it was horrid, the current one.
I saw this game. I featured it in my show solely because it was creepy.
Shameless plug.
No, yes, but no. I would never do that. So there was this game called
Amnesia.
No, it's something. That's a good game. There's a
that's what it was called, Amnesia.
It's I can't remember the first word. It's something of the undergrowth. It's like Heroes of the Undergrowth or something like that. And it's an RTS where you battle the sides, and it's basically like an RTS like StarCraft, where you're battling you're building your base and you battle your base against the armies of others. Except you are ants. You are controlling a colony of ants, and you fight other ants and other bugs, and it's super creepy and skin crawly.
I was itching.
I have to include this.
I was itching that you had that video up. That was weird.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, "Oh no, it's got to go in the show."
So what happens when it rains? All the bases just get washed away.
They might there's a lot of interesting things about it, because it's like, how you discover a section in an RTS and it like shows you new ground and stuff. This shows you like maggots and stuff.
Oh no!
It's so weird.
Is this something you found on like itch.io or something?
No, it's on Steam. It's on Steam.
Don't have grasshoppers as well.
What's it called again?
Do they?
I don't actually remember, but it's something of the.
It's called Game for Sickos. That's what it's called.
Yeah,
called,
right.
Empires of the Undergrowth.
I think I'll stick with Halo. Thank you.
Empires of the Undergrowth.
I'll stick with like Rocket League.
Newsflash: my phone just told us we're live.
Nice. Hey, thanks. Thanks, Zeb's phone. We appreciate that.
Yes. We were all zombies before, but now we're alive.
Are we seriously buffering that bad?
No, I don't see much anything.
It's the notification.
I'm buffering big time.
But it's like some people, not everybody.
Must be the cold weather.
I wonder if it's
certain
certain
lines.
lines.
Snowstorm that I didn't know about.
Yeah,
that
right.
never hit upstate New York.
You guys can give Australia some of the cold weather. You can have our hot weather.
No, thank you.
No thanks.
That's why I would never move down south. I don't like it that warm.
I love the hot
If I move anywhere, I'm moving to Maine, the state of Maine.
No, don't.
I miss Florida.
I like Maine. It's in,
I'm from there. Don't.
I live in upstate New York, 2 miles from the PA border. Please. I live in the same area that Rod Serling came from. Does that tell you something about Broome County?
It's weird.
No.
It's very weird. It's a very strange area.
Then don't go to Maine, because you'll have a lot of Massachusetts people.
Produce the likes of Rod Serling. So this is the Twilight Zone.
Oh,
Rod Serling.
I forgot his name.
That's his name, Twilight Zone.
I remember who he is now.
Yeah.
I didn't know his name.
Who that is.
Yeah.
The guy who hosted Twitch
like
Twilight
him.
Zone. Yeah. Had you not said that, I never would have remembered it at all.
Yeah, me either.
And in fact, a couple of the, I think more than just a couple of the original Twilight Zones, he actually used places in the city of Binghamton. And if you knew it, you would recognize it, if you were from that area.
That's why it's so creepy.
Yeah, Binghamton's creepy, believe me.
Talking about shows like Evil Dead and all that sort of old stuff. Yeah. We started watching one called Stan versus Evil, I think it's called. Really good watch. If anyone's looking for something to watch over Christmas, I'd recommend checking that out.
Specifically over Christmas.
Yeah.
Because there's never anything on TV in Christmas.
That's a good point. We just have like Frosty the Snowman on repeat for days.
Yeah. And Rudolph.
At least it's not Let It Go. Let it go.
Oh.
One day though. One day that will be.
Actually, there was one guy on YouTube that does respin of songs into metal.
I'm sorry, did you say
respins.
Yeah. Respin of Let It Go?
Perfectly.
And he did the Frozen Let It Go in metal, and it is awesome.
Is that the one where like the little he's got like in his kid's bedroom doing like the little
on the toy drums and stuff.
He's doing like the toy drums like he's got like a little kid ukulele and stuff.
Yeah. That's some really good stuff.
That guy is that Leo guy, right?
Yeah, Leo.
I think so. Yeah.
I first saw him like about a year ago because someone was trying to mess with me and they were trying to troll me and give me a Rickroll. And I know the actual URL to the Rickroll, so I don't ever get Rickrolled. And so he couldn't do it, and he sent it to me. I was like, no, it's not gonna work. And he sent me another one, which was him doing the Rickroll metal version. And then I listened to it, and I was like, that's actually awesome, dude. I appreciate you sending me this now.
So some of the things that you find on YouTube actually entertain us.
All right, so getting back to Linux.
Linux, whoa.
Linux.
Wow, why do I always got to steer this conversation back to Linux?
There's too many bugs on this show, man. That's the problem.
So back to
there's too many bugs in his game. That's what there is. So MX16 or 17 is not out yet. It's still in beta, but anybody tried it?
Yep. Waiting for the release.
So
I just installed it today.
Let me have it.
Sorry, what just came out?
Talk to me, Colin.
I haven't really looked at it. I probably haven't looked at it enough to really give an opinion, to be honest. It looks nice.
MX17?
Hold on. Let me mute Joe's loud keyboard here.
Oh.
He's not used to the new keyboard.
Silence.
He's just not.
You have been silenced.
Anyway, Zeb, what do you think of it?
MX17, even in beta 3 mode, is a very, very good distro. It installed the first time, everything works out of the box. Okay, it's got a few gimmicks that are maybe a little bit dangerous, like straight out of the box, right mouse click any file and take ownership as root, and it doesn't even ask you for a password.
How convenient.
Wow.
Try doing that to your home folder and then rebooting. So, I mean, I mentioned it on their forum, and they went, "Oh, well, we haven't had a problem in 4 years." So I thought, yeah, okay, so, give it.
They know about.
I wish you'd have said that on my stream today when someone told me to suggest MX to a new user and a beginner user. I was like, if I had known that particular thing, it's like guaranteed no.
Yeah, no, it's but the rest of it is really works really, really well. It's rock solid. It's fast. It's slick, and I've had no problems when I've been running it.
MX was mentioned on the voting for the best Linux distro, by the way.
It didn't go well, did it?
How high? Like, is it very high?
No,
I
have to look. I actually took. I don't know where I have my notes. It had a lot of votes for it. A lot of people like it.
But it's not one of the equal seconds.
I'm not going to give it away until tomorrow. Who wins?
We've got to keep. He'll make a mistake tonight. We've just got to keep.
We'll get him.
All I'm telling you is Ubuntu Mate didn't win. That's what
we'll
I use.
get him.
I'm kind of disappointed. But
that's a bad poll then. If Mate didn't win.
Poke.
I mean, I could take a guess as far as like popularity. If it's based on popularity, like voting, I think I have a guess.
Which is
Solus.
Ding, 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 ding.
Silence.
not saying anything.
That's because Solus is pretty awesome.
The best.
It is.
I mean, it's got a lot of like, it's got a ton of press and like hype that is similar to happen to Ubuntu Mate in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Ubuntu Mate would have won. It just had a lot of votes. Maybe it's because of something I said. I can't imagine, but you know. But no, there was quite a few distros that got votes. Antergos got a few votes.
Just a few.
You know, Manjaro, surprise. I guess a lot of people still like Manjaro in spite of its bugs. I guess I don't know, but
I must say that Solaris and the Manjaro stalls are probably the best ones I've used.
I feel bad for Debian and Ubuntu. They each got 2 votes, I think, and that was it. But you know.
The problem
I think
found
Debian is more like as long as anything that is that wins that is based on Debian, they win. Is their opinion?
Yeah.
Well, you know, you said Solus is getting a lot of press, like Mate got back in 2016. But to be honest with you, I don't know they get enough press. Because
I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying like their popularity. They got a lot of hype, and I'm not saying they don't deserve the hype. They totally do, especially considering the Steam integration thing they're doing.
Yep,
like that's a lot of cool
stuff.
Well,
Ubuntu Mate got press, especially when Martin Wimpress posted on his website the mutiny, people leaving Unity. It's a mutiny, refugees going to Ubuntu Mate. So he got a lot of press. That's why I thought he would have won.
Yeah,
but he didn't win, which is fine. That means there's more than one distro, one good choice, at least for beginners. So,
but I think with Solus as well, their fan base is very vocal.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never shut up.
Really? Okay.
That makes sense.
Antergos disaster. I put Solus on, and I'm dual booting between Ubuntu Mate and Solus, and those two play very well together.
What's the default for Solus? Defaulty is it the budgie?
Budgie.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But
I think that's the one I tested and I liked it. Yeah. In a VM. Yeah.
Mate is the second tier
most
one
popular.
because of the brisk menu that they work on.
Yeah. But budgie is the main one, right? That's the
budgie's the main one.
Okay.
Solaris doesn't work with AMD 300 cards either. I found out.
That makes sense. Also, isn't Open Solaris deprecated now? Didn't Oracle kill it?
Not sure.
I think they did because the Open Indiana is like a replacement for that, alternative for that. I think.
Yeah, I gave it a go and just couldn't get the drivers for it, and thought, "Oh, I'll stuff it back to Ubuntu."
Michael, Oracle kill something? Never.
Well, as I said on one of my shows, is they still haven't killed a VirtualBox because they're working alphabetically.
So that'll be last.
So yeah, they got at least 3 more things before they can kill VirtualBox.
So we need a fork of VirtualBox.
Not yet, but it'll happen eventually. It'll probably happen.
I think by the time that happens, hopefully we won't have to use VirtualBox, because as much as I love VirtualBox, it's absolutely garbage.
It shows just the UI.
As much as I like something, it's terrible. I hate it. What?
Yeah.
The UI, just like the UI is terrible.
I don't have a problem with VirtualBox. A lot of people talk about VirtualBox.
It works. It works.
It's quick and easy. It wastes resources. It's like the overhead isn't worth it when, now that we're seeing things like GNOME boxes coming out. That just
GNOME boxes doesn't have features that everything else does.
I know. That's the one thing.
They are very
VMware is pretty good.
Save resources by not being
VM Workstation. That's pretty good.
Talking about GNOME boxes, I don't know if anybody else has a problem, but I can't stream a GNOME box with OBS. I just get a black screen.
Have you used the window compositor?
Yeah.
Even with the screen capture, it won't work?
I just get a black screen when I try and show GNOME boxes.
Huh.
So I've found that when I tried recording something in GNOME boxes, it was only giving me the window like itself, and that's why it's black. But like the actual output of like the display for gnome boxes doesn't output to where the window itself outputs. So OBS can't see what gnome boxes is outputting.
So the solution is to load up VirtualBox, put gnome boxes inside of VirtualBox, screen cap.
So it's virtual box.
Yeah. It's like
There
it's
goes
like
a weekend.
disproception.
Yeah, but I have the same problem with Zoom. I can't when I look at try to have OBS capture it just a black box. That's why I have to capture the whole screen, the whole monitor screen. I have to full screen the Zoom window. Like I have it over on the other monitor, full screened, where all of you guys are sitting, and then I capture the whole screen because it won't capture the box.
I don't know how Zoom handles
I'll
that.
have to put a 1080p monitor back and try it.
So that might be an option. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Solus actually start with their Budgie desktop, put some features in like Ubuntu Budgie's done. They've had some guy make quite a few applets, and they're really good.
So, if I recall correctly, there's actually an update. I don't know if it's already come out or not, but there's like a point release of like the 10.4 series of Budgie or something that's supposed to integrate a whole bunch of stuff that's been worked on to make it a better experience.
Right.
But as far as I remember, Budgie 10, like this one that we're seeing, the GTK one, isn't really going to see too much in terms of feature additions and stuff like that. Like right now, it's just kind of making it as best as they can while they work on the next release.
Good. Yeah, it's in limbo at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yep.
They should be working on 11 and not like limiting their amount of work that they put into 11, so it makes it even longer before it comes out. Like I think it's fine as long as the 10.x series is solid and works fine. I mean,
and it is.
Yeah, just maintain it so it keeps like you clean out the bugs or fix the things that like improve it in like a minimal way, and then spend most of your time working on 11 so it comes out, and then we could all forget that 10 ever happened.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Or in Rocco's case,
Did you guys see a new version of React OS came out?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, isn't that the first one they did in a decade?
Yeah.
Really? It's been like in development since like the Stone Age or something. But
long time.
Yeah.
There was a sad story in that distro, but like they are doing some cool stuff in React OS. Like they announced that there are more things that you can choose. What is it? More kernels that you can choose.
More hardware. Something to do with the hardware architectures that it supports or something.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. More architectures and file systems than Windows ever has. Like all versions.
I saw
of Windows
they had like
combined.
ext2 and all that sort of stuff being supported now. Finally,
That is
exciting.
cool.
so it's a more usable version of Windows than Windows.
Yeah, maybe.
Has anybody tried installing it in the last 10 years?
No, and I'm not going to.
I have.
I want everything working again. I'm not going to do it.
I wonder who made me try to do that, Rocco.
I don't know what you're talking about. It might have been on a obscure distro challenge years ago.
Don't make me do the deep part for you. You want to go back to Manjaro?
Anyone tried Deep In? I've tried Deep In.
Mm-hmm.
I have wanted to try it, Colin, but I've just haven't.
When you say Deep In, are you referring to the distro or the DE?
The distro. No, the actual Deep In distro.
Okay.
That's a Chinese distro, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Their website's in Chinese too, so be aware. If you want to get help,
there's an English option. So if you like Google it from like English Google or whatever, it should like automatically point you to the English version. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it's on the top right. There's like a little flag where you can select your country.
I tried it twice. It never worked for me, so I don't like it.
I've just listened to other people and said, no, I'm not going to try it.
I know they've sorted it out. The last time I tried Deep, it took like 4 hours to update.
The thing about
That's-
Deepin
yeah,
is
slow.
pretty. It's pretty, but it's broken.
It doesn't work. I do remember trying to do the updates one night, and it would have been faster for me to buy a ticket to China, grab the updates on the file, fly back and install. It would have been faster that
Wow,
way.
that sounds a lot like Windows.
So the reason
You know what? Windows is faster for the updates than Deepin was.
That ain't right. That is.
I
so
agree.
wrong. It may be true, but
Okay,
it's
so
not
it's
right.
true.
And
Here's the thing,
Deepin
it
shuts
is
down to
true.
do their updates just like Windows as
It
well,
looked pretty.
which I don't like either.
I mean, it's, but I mean,
Okay, but the reason that it's like that, and that's what's broken with it, is that the mirrors are not working. So you can't switch mirrors or like where you get your updates from, even if you
well,
select.
it's China, so it's all privated mirrors or something.
So
I don't
it's
know, but-
sent it.
You
No,
gotta
it's
use like a
not.
VPN
They
to
have
get access
mirrors.
to it.
No, they have mirrors all over the world. It's not that. But what it is that the distro itself is pointing to the CDN in China instead of literally any of the tens and tens around the world.
Yeah. So
So
even
that's
when,
why it's not doing it.
so even when you go into the list on their side panel to change where the mirrors are,
You're still sent to China.
It still does not update. That's why you get like the 4-hour delay on on updates.
It's like they want you to
Exactly.
go through China. So what are they searching for? Could it be spying on you? No. China?
Never.
They're a very democratic society, aren't they? They wouldn't do dodgy stuff at all.
The long short of Deepin is it looks pretty, but that's about it.
It's very deep and very pretty. We just go to China. Very pretty. Buy our Deepin.
Well, somebody had mentioned it earlier with MX, also Linux Mint. So has anybody tried 18.3?
It works. I install Linux Mint Cinnamon. Yeah, Cinnamon in my full install ThinkPad. I like it. And for once, the spices, the applets that I've tested actually work.
Oh,
Nice.
that's good.
Michael, I'm sure you have. No? No?
I tried the latest Mint the other day.
What's wrong with his... Did he turn his speaker off?
See, he was trying to hook up to the Deepin mirror and see what happened. See, I warned you guys. Stay away from China, but no.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty
Police
good.
connection.
There we go. There we go.
I think you tried installing those last level updates.
He was testing the Deepin mirror, and they went, but yeah.
I actually like the Linux Mint 18.3 Cinnamon. All the updates that they did to the software manager.
It seems okay. It seems okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Software
I think it's
manager works
I might
so
keep
much
it in there,
better.
my ThinkPad. Yeah, yeah.
It's
Now
so
it
much
works.
faster.
And it seems faster than the previous ones. It's almost as fast as Mate.
Now the funny thing is, I just watched a video of a YouTuber, and I won't even
Really,
mention
guys?
the guy's name, but
Go, go, go.
he said that he didn't like the updates to the Linux Mint. He didn't like the updates to the software manager because he liked the old software manager better. And I don't know who would like the old software.
I can guess.
I watched that
like
video and he actually had some good points. Like, I like where they're going. With the icon layout they chose.
Is it someone from Australia, mate?
No. It was an American.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the Australian guy,
No.
I personally like the new changes to it. I think it's pretty.
I think it's
good.
fine.
I think it's much better.
I just want it to
Software
work out of the
works.
box. That's all that I care for.
I like
you
that
know?
they
Software Center actually opens quick, works quick, searches quick, much better than the older
It
one.
does
anyway,
seem
so-
more smooth. Yeah, I'd have to say.
Yeah,
That's why I'll
much
probably
more
keep it. Yeah,
responsive.
it seems responsive. Yes. Mhm.
I'll give them props for adding the flat hub when they introduced the flat
Yep.
packs for it.
Mm.
Without the flat hub, flat packs is not that useful, but with the flat hub, it's much better.
The last thing on my mind was flat packs when I installed Linux Mint. So I just want it to work out of the box. Do the update. I just want it to work. So, and it works. So
Well, some people had said that the resources on it were taken up were pretty high, but I didn't find that. And
No,
like
neither
on
I
my
didn't see that.
machine,
No.
I had the same resources taken up on every other DE that I run. So it ran fine for me.
I just put Mint on my laptop the other day, and it seemed to run just as well as Mate.
Yep.
So
Now-
it hardly used any RAM in the GUI and just idling.
I will admit that there's a lot of animations with it, and maybe if you don't have a high-powered computer, that'll affect that, and you'll have issues with that. But those can be turned off. So
if you don't have animations, you're doing it wrong.
They gotta have animations,
cube,
dude.
you are doing it wrong.
Oh, you mean like deepen?
If my windows don't
Well,
explode when I close them, you're doing it
I
wrong.
want my compass back.
I need my mouse to have a fire trail behind it at all times.
That is a nice little thing for coffee. Yeah. Yeah.
On Linux Mint, I'd like to know how they've convinced everybody time shift is theirs.
Yeah, right.
It's TGJs or whatever the guy's name is. It's a duplicate.
Isn't a fork of his, isn't it?
It may be, but you look at the UI and all the rest of it, and it's time.
Is it a respin?
It could be.
So that's actually a title of an Xbox game, Time Shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I also said the same thing, but I was based it on being a fork. It might not be a fork. I don't know.
Well, certainly. I mean, I haven't tried it yet, but it looks identical because that's what we recommend people install when they use Peppermint if they want a nice little backup utility.
Well, I mean, they did make it. I know they made a bunch of changes to it so that it would only apply to your system and not the whole thing. So, like Time Shift normally goes through the entire thing, and they've modified it so it just does your root system, which is weird. But I mean, okay.
I don't use any utilities like that. I just back up all my personal files and folders to two hard drives, like external hard drives, and that's the extent of my backup. No special software, nothing. Same thing in Windows. Just back up, like photos, videos, podcasts, interviews. Go to my hard drives, and that's it. If it crashes, it crashes.
Well, it has that backup in it too. You can still back up the home folder.
Can you? Okay.
But it also has
different
time
tool
shift.
that, yeah.
Okay. And you're okay because if you've used Deepin, China's got it for you as well.
Oh, we back up everything, even your passwords. Oh.
I just copy my home folder and then the others to my file server and to an external drive. And
talking about the
about
Chinese and then backing stuff up, one of the keyboards sold on our Chinese import site got found out recently the other day that they were recording every single keystroke you made on their cheap gaming mechanical keyboard and uploading it back to China.
So was
that
what
I call that?
Again?
I call that innovation.
Yeah.
And the dodgy thing was the software they were using was apparently needed for all the bling on the mechanical keyboard, like the lights and chains and stuff. So if you didn't run the software, it was just a dumb keyboard, but it wouldn't upload all the keystrokes.
You say that was a Chinese import. It was probably designed by Microsoft.
I thought it was designed.
No.
Whatever.
It's all for your good, Charlie. It's all for your good. Just give in.
So if I forget about it,
Well, I'm so glad I invested in this nice gaming keyboard because now I got to sit here and feel like I got to type real quiet or remember to mute myself. Either that or I just better switch keyboards for the show.
The good thing is, though, we know Joe's in the house.
Yeah. I started typing and I go,
I was going to say, Joe, how are you going to introduce yourself when we do roll call now?
Yeah.
Joe, what's your last words?
Type quietly.
Well,
quietly.
That last conversation brought up an interesting point. What does everybody use for their backups?
I just copy stuff to external drive.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Like with the file manager.
Yeah.
I do.
I compress everything with before I was using XZ compression and ultra compressing everything, and then now I'm using GZ compression just because it's almost pointless to use XZ for stuff.
And why? Why do you compress it? I mean, just to save space or what?
Well, one, it saves space, but it's easier when you're copying and writing things. If it's to and from like a flash drive or something, it's not going to be as difficult copying one file as it is copying 4,000 files.
Yes, you're right.
I do that with photos. Like if I go down to Sydney or wherever I'm going on holiday, I'll grab that whole day and just zip that up with no compression. That way I can transfer it across, and it's not 100 or 300 photos taking hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pete, what do you use, man? Or do you backup at all, Pete?
I mean, some of the stuff is is on multiple computers. And then I have some stuff on a storage array of that's ZFS.
Nice. It's at ZFS, thank you.
Yeah.
I was actually looking into
I like how
making
people say that.
pre-NAS box over the Christmas break.
That's what Ryan has. Ryan has.
Yeah. I want to like get rid of almost all the hard drives out of my systems and just put it in one central location.
FreeNAS uses ZFS.
Yeah, that's fine.
Shane, what do you use?
Well, I actually use SyncThing.
Nice.
Yep.
Yep, that's a good program. I like it.
Yep, with my Open Media Vault file server.
Nice. That does not use ZFS.
No.
It can use
with an add-on. It will.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's not positive in the freedom dimension.
Really?
No, I don't care.
Talking about like sort of backing up in file systems, why are cameras like digital cameras and video cameras not using an open source standard instead of using FAT32 still in like 2017? Like, why don't we have like an open source
licensing to Microsoft? Why else?
Wait, didn't Microsoft make XFAT, not FAT32?
Yeah, they've got XFAT, but don't you still have to pay them a royalty fee to use it?
To use XFAT, yeah, but not. I don't think FAT32 does.
FAT32 is fine now. Like it
wasn't for a while.
I don't know for sure, but I think it's out of patent, but it might not be.
Yeah. But the problem I see with some of the like action cams is, they still divide everything up in 4 gig chunks for FAT32.
Because 32-bit for some reason isn't dead yet.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, why it's still going. But it's just like of all like file systems out there, why isn't one not adopted that's like open source and royalty free? Like, why do we still need FAT32?
Ask Google how well like WebM has worked out for them as far as free and royalty free open source.
WebM is garbage.
But my point, what I'm saying is, my point.
WebM is garbage. VP9 WebM is actually pretty good.
Is it? I gotta give that a try.
They fixed a lot of the compression issues. The file is not ridiculously huge anymore.
But anytime there's been an open standard available, like VP9 or VP8 or WebM, whatever you want to call it, everybody always H.264, H.265, and video codec cases.
Because it's the best.
It's the best. Best is relative again.
Well, I mean, H.264 is because it's the most widely adopted as far as players go.
Yeah.
Well, but you can use X264 and accomplish the same thing in an open way.
I'm flipping that over into the file system side of things, or for FAT32 and that kind of stuff. And
I don't think there is a Linux-based competitor to FAT32 in the same way.
No, there isn't.
See, here's the thing with someone makes a camera, right, and it formats its storage in something like, just bear with me, XFS. The issue is that you're not going to be able to plug that into just about anything and have it work. Because if you put that in a Windows thing, it's not going to work because it doesn't.
Windows is going to be like, what the heck is this?
It's going to tell you to format your drive, which don't do.
Well, I mean, that's true. Windows, as long as it's not NTFS or XFAT or FAT32. If it's not FAT-based or NTFS, like Windows is like, you didn't plug anything in.
And that's
I had that issue with Mac people, so I had to get them to use XFAT because it seems to work on everything.
And that's the thing is, like, it's just for the sake of not having a bunch of users pouring into the forums or having a bunch of people, saying the product is broken because it doesn't work on almost every single device ever, because almost every single device in the modern world uses FAT32. I mean, it's just a safe bet. Even if there is an open standard, no one's adopting it.
I don't think there is an open standard. That's the problem.
There probably isn't.
There's it's also because it's a type of file system that is best suited for smaller types of files. So
yeah.
I mean, we're at the point where video files and photos are becoming to the point where that's not really a necessity. But there's not really anything that's like most of these file systems are approaching the server or the desktop method of paradigm of usage. So they have journaling, and now they're working on copy on write. Now they're working on snapshotting and stuff like that. So when you add those particular types of file systems, those are not suitable for just the basic data storage of a camera.
Yeah. You do not want your phone doing that every time you take a picture.
I mean, people are doing that with Google Photos, so kind of.
Yeah, but not like while you actually need to use it heavily. And
well, I mean, I all of those features I just mentioned are fantastic features, just not for a camera.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to submit that for like a Google Summer Code project or something.
God, making file systems is hard. It is so awfully hard.
Challenge not accepted. No.
Right.
Yeah, it's just awful.
Well, maybe they need like an embedded chip for ZFS or something, so you can like embed it in cameras and that. They'll do all the hard processing.
No.
Yeah, the ZFS is actually the best thing for data backup, the worst thing for kind of everything else. So it's like it's both amazing and awful, because like if you use it for your system, there's this really important part that annoys me that the people who are advocates for it like to kind of ignore, and it's that the spool cannot be the volume of the spool cannot be reduced ever. You can add as much hard drive as much as you want, and it'll constantly grow. Like when you allocate space on a drive, you can't change it and then reallocate that space. It is that forever. So you can change what's in there, but that space is always allocated, which is fantastic for storage and data centers and stuff. But not so much if you put it as your root system and then you want to like install, you want to remove applications so that you can have more space on your drive. Like, no, can't do that.
Great.
Externals are NTFS.
So that's why it's not even meant to be used as like the main system anyway.
Apparently, Samsung made an open source file system back in 2012 called F2FS.
Oh yeah,
Flash-friendly
it's like
file.
Flash-friendly, yeah.
Yeah.
That might be possible. I think that's what they were trying to do, is like a competitor to FAT.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like, I've used it a few times, and like performance is fine, and it's actually pretty efficient on flash storage, but I just don't see a lot of people adopting it.
Which is a shame, because by the looks of things, it's open and free, and it's like.
But
why
the thing is, then you have the problem of it not working in other situations. So not everything supports F2FS.
Most things probably don't, but like it's probably most of the time when it comes to file systems, the amount of time that is being developed on something, it does matter. Like because like, you're depending on the entire stability of a file system. The second it crashes, you've lost data, and no one is going to accept that. So they will probably not even deploy anything for another 5 years.
Yeah, and to put it into perspective, like we're seeing like file systems that have been in development for decades now that are just barely kind of getting their crap together in something they could call, ready to deploy and ready to use. I mean, it takes a lot of work. Yeah, and I love XFS, but wow, it's old.
Well, I mean, they've had 20 years, and it's that's actually good because they've tested the core fundamentals of XFS have been tested like extensively. So like there are certain aspects to it that's fantastic, but they are kind of like recently in terms of file systems is like 7 years ago started adding extra features like snapshotting and stuff, and they don't have copy on write, but they're actually working on they're deciding whether or not to add copy on write to XFS. So if they do, that's gonna add an extra like at least 5 more years for like production stability testing.
So what you're saying is we should be using PTRFS.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So
didn't that fail?
PTRFS didn't do.
Yeah, exactly.
ButterFS is great in some aspects, and it's also like avoid it in other things. But like, there's a lot of
now. So wait now. If it's good and it's bad, it doesn't matter if it's your file system and it holds your files. If even part of it is bad, then it's probably not good.
I think he's saying it depends on your use case of it.
Yeah, it depends on the use case.
Like
it's the same thing as ZFS. You shouldn't be using that in some cases. In some cases, it's fantastic. So you can say the same thing with ButterFS. And like a lot of people have, like they make comments about how ButterFS came out and said that RAID 5 and RAID 6 were not usable and you shouldn't use it. You shouldn't trust it. It wouldn't work. And that became like this big meme to make fun of them. And that's that. I mean, fair enough. They did come out and say, "Hey, part of our system doesn't work. You shouldn't use it." But in the realm of like file system like development and just in system administration and DevOps type stuff, we all would like respond with, "Who's using RAID 5 and 6? Like that? That's just a terrible system in the first place.
I shouldn't be, but I am.
Don't do that. You change now."
What's so bad about RAID 6?
The reliability of either one of them in any system is not worth bothering with. And also the duplication is
I
like.
only have.
Go ahead.
Insane. It's insane.
Like you don't need like the structure of the duplication isn't that ideal unless you have like a massive data set. And you can accomplish the same thing in like RAID 1 and 2 or even RAID 10. Like,
well, I was actually looking into doing 8 4-terabyte drives with RAID 6 or what they call it, a Z1, 2 or 2.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean,
because I wanted 2 drives as a backup. So if I lose 2 drives at the same time, I'm safe.
Yeah. So in the sense of, I wouldn't use RAID 5 or 6 for that. I would look into RAID 2 or 3, maybe 1. 10 is also really good. It just depends on like your fundamental like how much do you want to rely on the backups of an individual drive kind of thing. And
let's get a couple petabytes in the picture before we talk about this.
Well, in the sense of like RAID is useful in some cases. I mean, there's like plug and play RAID setups like Drobos and stuff, where you just plug in a drive and it just activates RAID. Like that's cool, but it's also $500 without the hard drives, so it's not very cost effective for a lot of people, but or most people.
Yeah, but I wanted to use that ZFS RAID 6 equivalent.
When it comes to ZFS, I mean, you could pretty much use any RAID you want to. It's just 5 the suggested, but you could if you wanted to.
end that whole exciting file system
Let's talk about net neutrality.
I mean, wow,
So-
I'm like falling asleep here. Holy mackerel.
Let's not.
So, like, they also in the most riveting discussions of which net neutrality or the Patreon thing. Who wants to go?
Well, we talk Linux.
Wow, let's keep the Linux, huh? All right, so Colin, you're the King Distro Hopper. Now you and Zeb are both like neck and neck. So what have you been trying?
Oh, I don't know. There's
Zeb's
a few
like-
people on Telegram that seem to be hopping a lot more than what I am sometimes. I've actually just reinstalled my whole system after doing the Anaghost shenanigans. And
Blame Ryan.
and I've got Ferran OS back on there because he didn't look happy that I nuked his system because of Anaghost. And I've also put MX Linux and Peppermint 8 respin, so just to give them a go. So, and I've still got one more partition left over, so I'm not sure what I want to put on there yet. And I'm running Ubuntu Budgie on my main system.
Oh, you're on your main system? You're running Budgie?
Yeah, Ubuntu Budgie. Yeah,
You've
because
been
I've been
running
doing
that for a while.
Yeah, I do videos. I like to run a system for at least a month or two before I do a video on it, if I can, so I know the system a lot better. Than, so you give it like a true idea of what the system's all about, pretty much. So
I think it's if you don't run a system for at least a week, you have no business talking about it.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying before. That I'm hoping that even if this guy, I can't remember his name, the guy who done the applets for Ubuntu Budgie, they're awesome applets. So the new ones, they got a backport for them.
Is that Skip?
Well, hold that thought for a second.
Oh.
Going back to what you said, Michael, I think that there is a place for people who make videos that don't run an operating system for more than a week to show or highlight the new features of a system. Like, you're not going to have
It's
Linux
not a review, though. The people I meant in the review sense.
Right. Well, I'm just saying.
No, it's a look
if like, say, Linux Mint 18.3 comes out today and somebody does a review on it tomorrow.
It's not a review, though.
Which is why I don't review anything.
First look.
It's a first look. It's
Not even
It's
like
a
first look because
Wow,
they
you guys are so technical with your names. Respin, review, first look. I mean,
Say
really.
review of the immediate release.
Okay, let's rephrase that.
Overview.
Let's
It would be an
rephrase that.
I think you mean respin, Rocco.
If somebody does a video on that distro, I don't think it's a problem with it, unless they are, making like
That's why I
jumping to conclusions on this does
Yeah.
this and it doesn't do this when they haven't run it for long enough.
That's why I call all of my little Linux videos overviews, because it's just like a quick look over everything, because I hate calling it a review if I'm not going to spend at least a
That's right.
Go with Respin.
I
could do it.
That makes sense. That really does.
I could do a video on it. I could download an ISO and do a video straight away, and I would just call checking out or looking at or whatever.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
But and then it's just because you just want to show people, because there might be people out there that want to actually say, oh yeah, I like that, I might download it. So
That's what I'm saying. That there's a place for a video like that.
And I get comments all the
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah.
Because I'll go over the installer and things like that and just show the quick things. And I get comments all the time that are just like, wow, thank you. This was a cool look. I'm going to go install it. Or, people will ask me for a little more detail on how to do this and that. So I can just reply to that. So, I mean, it's really useful in a sort of casual sense. I don't want to say casual in terms of without more use, but in terms of not
A
necessarily
general type thing.
Yeah.
General. You're speaking
General.
to more of a general audience as opposed to the more technical Linux generic user that you'll usually get. The problem that I think Michael is alluding to is the live USB, and this is how I install, and this is a review. There's a severe problem. The problem I have
Anaghost is terrible because it doesn't have support for everything because GNOME is so good. GNOME is so bloated. How dare you talk about this thing? You should use XFC. It's in the installer. Well, I just used the live USB.
What I was going to say was the reason you can argue that it's semantics about overview or review or first look or first impressions. The difference is when you incorporate some like an OS or something into your workflow, for that entirety of a week or use it solid for a week, you have a better understanding. The problem with people who call these reviews is, you know, they're going through it as a overview generically, and they're not really speaking with the knowledge that's needed.
Because they haven't used it long enough.
Because there's ignorant mistakes.
Yeah.
It's not even that. It's the people who aren't. They're not experienced enough to look at something quickly and know what's going on with it, and they'll still make videos about it as if they're experts on the topic. Like if you've used Linux for any amount of time, like a year, but you dug deep in or whatever, and you just learned as much as you could about it, and then you make a video on it, and you spent like a couple hours on looking at something, and it was just like your impression of it, then that's fine. It's the people who don't put much effort into it anyway, and then still pretend that it's like, you know, a valid opinion. It's just like
one of my first things I said.
That's the clock, and that's the volume control. And
here's what's installed in this application. We're just gonna scroll down through this menu.
It has colors, you know.
Well, Toss, things that look like file folders.
I was gonna say, Toss, you look like you got something to say about that, though.
No, last summer I tried Manjaro full install for about, I don't know, 3 months. I mean, I tried to run one of my ThinkPads, and after 3 months, I gave up. I said, I fought the bugs, and the bugs won. That was a freaking review because I tried to solve puzzles.
Yes.
The update process didn't work. Then it started freezing. I mean, talk about a review. But you know, I don't think it's necessary to have something for 3 months to review something.
No,
1 month is probably enough. Maybe 2 weeks if you use it every day.
Yeah, even a week if it's the primary.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, that's an extreme case. But yeah, I tried it. I really wanted it to work. I was patient, but at some point I said, you know what? Heck with this. It doesn't work.
I'm done.
I'm done. I give up.
So I saw a video. 1704. Someone posted a video that was like, "Here's my review of 1704." So this came out 2 hours ago, and I put it in VirtualBox. Like,
and they're calling that a review. That's the problem.
Yeah. That like, here's the thing. Like, I don't expect people to be like experts on every topic and everything, and they make a video about it because they're interested in it, and they're enthusiastic about making a video about this and sharing their opinions and stuff. That's fine. That's awesome. Even if they have no idea what they're talking about, it's fine. If they say, I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm a new user, I'm just showing you my impression as a new user, that's awesome. I want to see videos like that where people are like, when I was a new user to Linux, there wasn't YouTube. It didn't exist. So like I couldn't.
I thought you always knew.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna deny that. So
yeah,
born from the penguin.
I thought you were born with the tux hat on your head.
That's
man.
what I thought. Right from the bottle, you knew about.
Yeah, from the Tux
ZFS.
If you didn't know Tux was there, he probably is.
Yeah, Tux was your doctor, wasn't he? No, I don't know.
The problem is that a minimum of a couple of weeks with a distro. When you start, like when I start making videos and stuff on a distro and using KDE Live and all these sorts of things, you really get to know what a distro can handle and whether there's bugs or not. When you start doing editing and all that sort of stuff, you really get to know how the distro works. And sometimes you find, really, this is not for me. And then off you go, right? To find something else on the quest for another distro that works for your way. So, you know, I mean,
it's not a proper review without a proper bug or a crash. Now you have
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's for Windows too, by the way. It isn't just for Linux. So, yeah.
I have not been able to make a video for probably months now. And every time I have tried, I have had nothing but issues. Every time I've tried to make a video. Kubuntu was the last one I tried to do. I had, I think it's like a 34-minute video. And I had so many issues with it. So many things were crashing, disappearing, graphics resets, everything.
Well, then say that in the review. Say, look, I tried this.
Like I said, it was a 34-minute video, and I said, at the end, I'm like, nobody wants to see this. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so below like what I'm used to putting out that I'm like, no, I'm not even going to.
So you're trying to sanitize things, and that's
well, no, I'm not trying to sanitize things, but nobody wants to watch a review where everything breaks.
I would have watched it.
I would have watched it.
And then I would have commented, use Ubuntu Mate,
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of breaking, I commented on one of the videos, I don't know if it was Destination or whatever, that this thing, I have 2 separate drives. You guys know I have a Windows boot on the other side. I barely play it. It's, I think the only thing I've got on there is Battlefield, and then I can go on to Steam, and I barely go on it. Well, the other day I thought, I'll go play Battlefield. It didn't want to boot. No rhyme or reason why. I didn't touch it. I haven't touched it in ages, it seems like. And the one time I go to boot it, so does it bother me enough to fix it? No.
It feels neglected.
I really don't play it. I play everything.
It was offended by your lack of usage.
Yeah.
He got offended.
Lack of attention. It just couldn't handle it anymore.
What's that?
Lack of attention. It couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah, I got upset.
You ignored it.
But anyway, there's actually kind of that topic is actually kind of fun because of the whole new user doing videos thing. That's actually like something I like to watch, is to find things like that. Like Ryan is a good example where he had no idea anything about Linux at all, then decides to just play with it and he starts experiencing and then continues to make videos on it. That's a fantastic thing to see happen.
It's a learning process.
Yeah, and if people were anti like new users making videos, then that would never have happened. They're like, that's not the kind of thing. Is like every time he makes a video where he's like not sure about something, he tells you how long he's been using it, and it's like, I'm not that experienced, I'm not an expert, so it's a grain of salt situation. That kind of thing is fantastic. If you're just playing with something and it's a first impression and you're not pretending to be a guru, it's fine. It's just people who do pretend that they know everything about a topic when they haven't researched anything and have no business talking about it. Like, that's the stuff that bothers me.
Like, I remember I watched one video where somebody said Manjaro was an RPM-based distro. to which I immediately do not know how to respond to that. It's those kind of videos.
You tell the truth. RPM stands for real pain in the macaholis,
but that's
Manjaro.
Yeah.
RPM.
Manjar PM.
But
it's late.
That's the point. Like I think you're trying to make, Michael, is stuff like that where you hear that as a Linux user and you're like, and they're trying to come across as like some type of authority on this.
Yeah, it's sometimes people make mistakes, and I understand that. Like, I'll say things that are wrong, and just because I didn't think about it and I forgot. I mean, in the moment, that's one thing. It's the people who like, spend a couple hours or something, or even less, and then use it not even on bare bones or like bare metal stuff, and then like never actually experience it and still pretend as if they have. They should be giving their opinion when their opinion itself is inherently flawed, and unless they start the video with "Don't listen to me, feel free to stop watching," then they shouldn't do it.
I should do that.
Go on, Scrap.
Well, it's a bit like that video that you did. Is it Matt? Isn't it, Matt?
Yeah. Oh, my not safe for work video. My not safe for work video.
That guy is just.
That is the epitome of everything I hate about.
Seriously, some people shouldn't just.
The thing is, I have a few other videos where I do like those reaction type videos to like stupid crap I see with Linux, and they're very vulgar. So don't listen to them at work or at home or around other people.
At work or at home around or
don't listen to them.
Yeah.
If you were in a position where anyone might hear you, no.
Yeah. Headphones are a must.
You know what, Matt? You got to start doing some of those videos. Like there's a YouTuber that my son watches, like everything wrong with whatever this movie is in 15 minutes. You got to do
everything wrong with React OS.
Hey, Rocco.
That's mean.
Rocco, read between the lines, buddy.
Hi, Scrap. How are you?
I'm not on the Ubuntu right
PG.
now.
You're not?
Nope.
Why not, dude?
Everything on Ubuntu 17.10 with the way I run my rig works all the way up until connecting Discord or applications to the Pulse stuff.
There's an extension for that, but it doesn't work. No, just kidding.
Like it sees it. Everything is like, okay, here's the drop down, here's the thing, do that, this, the other, and nothing.
Have you, so is it
I think it has something.
Is it plugged in?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, no, everything works in my headphones, Carla Patch Bay, all of those things, all the routing. It's just on the application end. It must be because there's another quirk. When you set up Jack and Pulse and all together, you have to kill Pulse, run Jack, and then Pulse starts up on top of it. That way,
that's too complicated. Too much.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to work.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can't connect your USB interface for audio to the Jack server. It wants the Jack server. Jack wants the interface. Well, Pulse wants all of the interfaces. Well, if it can't get to one, it just ignores it. So that's what you want. You want it to ignore your interface. But somewhere with the way Ubuntu, like if you kill Pulse, it will hang for like 30, 40 seconds. And then it'll click back on.
Sounds like Ubuntu's really jacked.
Pretty much. Like it wants to resurrect the Pulse audio server.
Okay, Rocco?
And it's a fight. It's a constant fight. Ubuntu, once it started, I say no, start it when I tell you to, and it says no, I do it when I want to. And I'm like, well, sorry.
Did you tell it that you do what you want?
I do what I want.
You could maybe give System D a delay for launching the Pulse.
Maybe. I haven't messed with any of that, so it sounds like a plan to try.
I have a vision of Windows 10 folks watching this on replay with all the complaints, and they're probably thinking, gee, what a bunch of bozos here or something. But
yeah. Well, that's when you can point.
You know what?
That's when you can tell them to go right to a Windows forum.
To be fair, Jack is an acronym.
Though, they don't have the guts to come out and talk about what's wrong with Windows. We do have the we talk about issues.
There's
is out too.
It's a give and take.
They don't know where to start.
It's a give and take on audio with anything, because on Windows you can't as easily patch all the things together as you can on Linux. But on Linux, the back end is the thing. It's like where gaming is now, where we're able to do games. They just have to make games. Audio is like just a smidge behind, where it's like as soon as the real time stuff gets totally, I don't know what the term for it is, where it's at the kernel level, but everybody else is back here. Backports. That's what it is. Until all of that stuff gets backported or gets tailored, because I'm noticing latency differences between Ubuntu and Lubuntu and KDE. Now, Lubuntu, if you like retro, go for it. It's basic and it's fast as crap.
Yeah,
but your interface is like, okay,
it's plain
like crap.
Everything's manual. Everything's manual, but it's cool.
That's why it's fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you just want an appliance, go with that Lubuntu, and it's so quick. All the audio on it's super low latency. So when we get to a point where we can have the nice quick, or like the tiling where you want to have all your windows wherever you want them, and KDE will just remember it. If we can get that with the speed of Ubuntu or the speed of Lubuntu and have it look nice, that'd be great. But right now it's
where you replace OpenBox with i3 inside of Ubuntu and LXD, and then you just enjoy. Well, enjoy is a strong word. You can deal with that kind of situation.
You can tolerate. You can.
Well, I mean, i3 is fantastic for people who like to mess with computers.
So is an FEWM Crystal, but that's besides the point.
Well, actually, i3 is really good.
Something.
Yeah, that's a very specific use case type of person. So, like, someone who wants tiling and nothing else, like a tiling window manager is great. But if you want a stacking window manager and then also that can tile, i3 is like the opposite. Like, it's a tiling window manager that can also stack. So, and they don't care about the UI at all. They just care about the function. So if you care about the UI at all, then no.
Well, actually, Ryan has been getting into i3 lately. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. That.
So he doesn't care about the UI at all.
Well, he runs XFC. Of course, he doesn't care about the UI
function.
That is next challenge. We're all coming on here with i3, and nobody can get a screen up.
Well, there's actually a really nice distro that has i3 that's based on Ubuntu. Somebody wants to try.
What is it?
Watt OS version microwatt.
Watt OS is that?
Of Watt OS.
What?
That is.
I've heard of it. That's a light one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's meant to run low power stuff.
Well, I mean, they don't really care about that. Like that, they were just like it. They're both of them are like low power stuff because one's LXDE and the other one is i3. Yeah. Watt OS based like normal is LXDE, and then they
it's low wattage. Got it.
Yeah, it's a lot of wattage.
There you go.
It's very electrifying.
It's electrifying distro, yes.
Yeah. And
it doesn't have a lot of amps. So.
Wow, this is terrible. It's just absolutely terrible.
Quite shocking, isn't it?
It's the Rocco / nonsense show.
All right, guys, enough of the static.
Yeah.
Microwatt's good if someone wants to try i3 for like with a very low barrier to entry. A low barrier entry to set it up, but good luck with actually learning to use it because that has a decent barrier. But that's also that's just i3.
Well, I think that I would like
100%.
I think I would like i3 because it seems like something that I would like because it's organized and tiled, and I just don't want to take the time to learn all the shortcuts to set it all up.
You need to set up you need to learn all it has a nice set of default shortcuts for a tiling system. It's probably my favorite over Xmonad or Awesome. I think i3 is the best defaults, but they're all ugly. But that's kind of problematic to some people. But the fact that your mouse usage is so minimal that you have to learn these shortcuts, otherwise it's just not really worth doing. It's kind of problematic for a lot of people, including me. I did not continue using it.
Well, if it's tough for you, I don't want to touch it. Forget about it. Okay.
I mean, I could do it, and I could. It's just so much time required to get into it. It's
is it worth it?
I like Plasma. It has tiling. I'll just use that.
What's the type of these i3 managers, window managers? Is it developers or something that just keep their hand on the keyboard constantly, or
there are people? I mean, as far as the type person, there's a lot of different variations, but there are a lot of people I know who use i3 that happen to be developers. Yes.
Right.
I know a few sysadmins that also use it.
Because it seems to be a bit of a niche, really, isn't it? Use case.
Well,
really?
the nice thing about tiling window managers is this is just the overview. The overview of this is how applications are installed. The overview of i3 is basically just the tiling, not i3 specifically. The tiling aspect of it is you don't actually move around your windows ever. It just figures it out for you.
Yep.
So if you're loading Firefox, it loads in full screen. If you're loading something else that might fit it, it'll move Firefox to half the top screen and then put some your terminal and your notepad right next to each underneath it, a grid style. That kind of thing is nice that it automatically figures out stuff. But it's also it's something you got to get used to.
But you can also set them configs up to to open certain programs in certain spots.
Yeah. You can specify the default. It figures it out. I was just, like, the overview is just like the default. It figures it out for you, so you kind of like it'll lay it out, and then you can say, well, I like this particular application to go at this spot, or even on this workspace or this monitor and stuff like that. Like, it is nice that you can specify, but you can also do that in Plasma.
Well, I sent Ryan over to Eric's channel and told him about Arch Merge, and he tried it. He loves it. So, well, I haven't talked to him since, a couple of days now, as far as about that specifically, but he was loving it when the last time I talked to him.
Yeah, I mean, I like i3. It's a I haven't used Arch Merge, but i3 is a nice window manager. It is something you got to get used to, though. I just
you can use the mouse with it or not? Can you actually use your mouse within that? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it's just certain things that are locked to the keyboard, like certain features that require you to lock to the keyboard, and there isn't like by default there isn't a here's a list of all the things you can do with the shortcuts and stuff. You have to just find a thing online or figure it out yourself, stuff like trial and error or whatever.
Right.
But there is mouse usage. It's just very minimal. So, and also you can't move around stuff with your mouse. You use shortcuts for that as well. You can however, technically modify things to like the stacking view so that you could use your mouse if you want to.
I don't think I'll be able to use that.
No, but it's a big learning curve in setting it up and using it. So I don't have the time.
I've been using i3 since Wednesday.
Yeah. What do you think?
On my laptop, and
how long? When's the last time you booted your laptop?
Well, I've been using it every day. Wednesday, yeah. But it's just like it. But I don't. It would take a while to get used to it. The last time I did anything even remotely so hotkey centric was back when I was using Windows 7, and I had everything tied into some form of auto hotkey command. Like, it's been at least 6 years, and I don't think I can go back.
There's some issues in that in the setup. Like, once you get used to it, it's great.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, in the sense of tiling window managers, that like I have experience with tiling window managers, not much with i3 except for the defaults. Looking at the defaults, it's like I like the way they lay it out. I just don't have the patience to learn another tiling window manager. So like I got used to Awesome, and if you switch from one tiling to another, like everything is different. So like everything you learned on one doesn't correlate to the next.
That sounds like an aptly named window manager for you.
Awesome.
I'm so used to Awesome.
Awesome.
Just awesome. Everything I do.
It's awesome.
I can't deny that.
I slipped a Linux pun in there too.
Zeb, what have you been installing like madman?
Shock horror. I haven't. I've been so fed up with installing distros that then wreck my system. I've had my EFI partition overwritten for the last time. So I've got Peppermint, I've got Solus, I've got one to play with, which at the moment I've got Ubuntu on there. And the other one I'm going to leave as Windows. So that's it for me now. I'm done distro hopping. I'm fed up trying to set stuff up and it trashes the rest of the box.
Sounds like me.
Until he gets the itch again.
No, if I do it, I'm going to do it in GNOME boxes or VirtualBox. I hate them because they don't give you the right feel, but I'm just
but there's a place for them. I mean, it does give you a feel of the system. It just might not give you everything to do with like the hardware. Like you may have an issue with the hardware that you wouldn't experience in VirtualBox.
Yeah. And the NVIDIA drivers is going to be the classic thing.
Right.
Don't install the drivers on there. So yeah, no, I haven't played. The last one I really played with was MX, and that was awesome.
I think the only thing that infuriates me about VirtualBox is like with the virtual like graphical memory cap, the video memory cap. I think is like 500. No, it's
128 megs.
No, it's not 128. You can use VBox Manager and then up it to 256, but it caps there. Like that's it. Right. Even in the CLI, you can't up it. And I'm like, give me like 80 gigs or something. Not that I can, but like at least a gig or two would be great. And I can't because it can't utilize that.
I've heard
it would be so much better.
About people using direct pass-through, but I've no idea how that works or what the concept is.
They use QEMU and libvirt.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's too low, Mike. Didn't hear that.
Sorry, they use QEMU and libvirt.
English, please.
QEMU. It's like Qt emulator. Essentially,
yeah, sort of,
but it's not really an emulator.
It's not really an emulator. Like it's
so it's an emulator. That's not really an emulator.
It's not really an emulator anyway. That's not the EMU part. Like it's an acronym essentially, but like it's
even confusing you. See, that's how technical it is.
KVM is in the sense of virtual managers and not in the sense of keyboard stuff.
KVM is the kernel-based virtualization.
Kernel virtual machine.
QEMU works with KVM and libvirt, and libvirt is a library for virtual machines. And that integrates with KVM, and then you use QEMU as like the front end overall management of that. You can also use Virt Manager, which does the same, like it does the same thing similar to how QEMU does, and like combines them all together. The reason why those things work is that you can basically manipulate any aspect of those of KVM or libvirt. So the PCI pass-through is utilizing like really bare bones features that are part of your motherboard, your RAM, your processor, and your graphics card. If you don't have all four of those aspects, it won't work. You need every piece of that those four have to be able to support PCI pass-through. So you also need to have like certain settings for different virtual machines in the particular virtual not player, but like the virtual manager. And there's only KVM and libvirt have the ability to be so specific that you can get to the point where it will do genuine pass-through. So VMware and VirtualBox don't have the ability to do that yet. They theoretically said that they're working on it, but who knows when that's actually going to happen. So the barrier to do PCI pass-through is you have to basically learn like the core like fundamentals of virtual management or virtual machine management to just start it. Like you can go look at level 1 text, level 1 Linux, where Wendell goes through like multiple examples of like how to do it, and he's got like probably 4 or 5 hours of content showing how to do it, and it takes pretty much all of that time to do it.
Yeah, well, no. That's 2 hours in the manual. I'm not interested. I'll go back to VirtualBox and
like those things are good. Virt Manager is not difficult to use once you like get the hang of libvirt and stuff like that. Because Virt Manager is kind of like a GUI. It's not as easy as VirtualBox or VMware, but it is a much easier GUI for libvirt and KVM. Like it does remove a little bit of the barrier. It just doesn't help with the PCI pass-through stuff.
Yeah, and there's even more barriers with the PCI pass-through when it comes to what your hardware is able to do as far as separating out graphics cards in certain ways, and like only certain PCI slots will actually be able to do the pass-through. You have to really know how a board is laid out to do them.
IOMMU.
Yeah, that's the one I couldn't think of, but
yeah,
you need your motherboard to support that.
And even if it does, you can have a conflict with that IOMMU. And
yeah, Ryzen was big. Like there was big issues with Ryzen when it first launched.
That's the one that's coming along though now. Yeah. And the guys that are, I think it's the guy that does the Padoka PPA for like Mesa drivers and all of that. his unstable branch has a lot of the capabilities to do those things in such ways, and Wendell even talks about that at level 1 tech or level 1 Linux.
Well, on that note, it's been an exciting
terrible
show at times. But we're going to have our last word because that's going to be the end of the stream. So, Zeb, what's your last word?
Respin.
Perfect.
Me, overview.
Overview. Okay.
He's
Toss.
got respin, I got overview.
Have a good night.
See you, man. Pete.
Good night.
Linux is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael.
Jack is a recursive acronym that means Jack Audio Confusion Kit.
It's confused me already. Colin.
PCTLC. I've got nothing else tonight.
Studio.com/PCTLC.
Yeah, that. Alan.
He wants to sing a song.
No.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Peppermint.
Shane.
Pop OS.
You didn't say it right.
Matt.
YouTube.com/user/darkhorn778.
There you go. Famous plug. Scrap.
Still working on that audio thing.
SJ Studios.
SJ Studios.
Joe.
The dual boot Windows or not dual boot Windows? Is that really a question?
Not when you know the answer.
All right. Well, check out the latest Destination Linux coming out Monday.